welcome to another review room tutorial. Last time we talked about how to identify your submissions by a submission ID. Today we're going to show you some other options. If you change this drop-down menu to user's full name and then press save, what you'll notice is that all your applications will start to be identified by the owner of the application's first name and last name. So just to demonstrate this, when you go to your Manage Submissions page, now you'll see that all the submissions are defined by first name and last name. Now all this is sample data, therefore fake would be the first name, name would be the last name. And a lot of times this is common, so if you're taking a look at scholarship applications, for example, clearly it would make sense to identify each one of the applications that you received by the name of the person who's applying. Now let's go back to our settings tab again. Now if you change this value to something else, the user defined title, it will allow you to specify a question that you can ask from the user. The default question that I have in here right now that I actually wrote up myself is, what is the name of the person you are nominating? So a lot of times we have customers that use Review Room for nomination processes, and in such a process it would make sense to identify applications or submissions by the name of the person being nominated, right? Because at the end of the day, the person being nominated is the person who is going to potentially receive the award. Therefore, it would make sense to put in such a user-defined title. Now, if you want to see what this looks like, I'm going to press save and demonstrate in a second, but also keep in mind that you can, in the case of a business plan competition, for example, you could change this question to something like, what is the name of your company? Because in such a competition, it makes sense to identify each one of the submissions by the name of the company who is participating. So let me just go ahead and press save. And as soon as I press save, then what I can do is I can go back to this tab, and what I'll do is I'll click on Manage Users. Now, Manage Users, we're going to see a list of all the users on the system, and the reason I'm going there is because I want to create a new user, and once I create this new user, you'll see that this user will be asked the question that we were just specifying in the previous section. So let's go ahead, put them under Global Applicants, type in an email address, and then scroll down and press Add User. And once I do that, I'm going to press close, and my user is going to be created over here. So what I'll do is I will press assume role, and as soon as I assume role, what you're going to notice is that this submission is going to get created, and what you'll also notice is that it didn't ask me that question. Now, why is that? Just wanted to show you this example because once you want to test this portion out, you can't just test it out by creating a new user because it'll behave slightly differently. So what I'll do is I'll open an incognito window, as we talked about before, and I will visit the website, and then I'll sign up for a new user account. So what I'll do here is I already have a few email accounts that I can use. I'll just log in with one of them that doesn't have an application on this particular site, and as soon as I do it, asks me which category do you want to apply to. I choose that, and as soon as I choose that, now it's going to ask me that question, which is, what is the name of the person you are nominating? And I'll just say Joe Smith, and then I'll press get started, and what will happen is my application will now be identified by Joe Smith. So essentially that's now I'm going to close this window and go back to the tab that we were on. Essentially, that now we went through all the different fields: user defined title, submission ID, or user's full name. One more thing that I'll quickly talk about here under other options is the maximum applicants per team. So by default, we have a maximum of 20. If you want the maximum, usually people lower it. So if you're allowing your users to add team members, then you can specify a maximum of team members that they can add to their application. You can also turn off the capability for team members to be added in the first place. That's in another tab, and we'll talk about that later. And of course, there's the submission download mode, which we need to talk about a little bit further. So there's more to talk about. We'll see you in the next tutorial.